stuff you don't traditionally teach in high school that we should be teaching there so these kids graduate making jobs $45,000, $55,000, $65,000. It's great for society. It's great for lower income. It's great for the companies. And I think, most companies want to do it.
Jamie Dimon has been the CEO of JP Morgan Chase for nearly 20 years, leading the bank to become the biggest in the U.S. $2.6 trillion in assets, nearly $500 billion in market cap, and over 240,000 employees. As he's grown the bank into a giant, he set out to change how the company, and maybe the U.S., thinks about hiring, where to find talent, how to grow talent, and how to get ahead as a worker. He's eliminated most degree requirements, opened up opportunities for individuals with prior legal offenses, and created an apprenticeship program that helps employees move up within the company. Here's how Jamie Dimon is reshaping the workforce. So I'd love to just get some sense for you on how you think about finding talent, how it's changed over the times. Are you still thinking about, diplomas matter as much as they used to? How do you find people to work for this company?
Obviously, you need great talent. And I think things have changed over time. For a lot of jobs, we got rid of college degree required. Mm-hmm. Skills are far more important than the college degree. And a lot of people are doing more very specific skills training for very specific jobs. You mentioned Detroit. Detroit spawned a lot of things for us about how we look at jobs. We started a virtual call center. You can hire people in Detroit. They work from home, but they are very happy. They used to be in kind of low-paying jobs. They can't believe they're working at a bank. They like working at a bank. They found it fun, which they didn't expect. OSAT scores are very high for the customers, for them. We're doing one in Baltimore now. We used to recruit at 4 HBCUs. We now recruit at 27. If you go to Europe, in London, we used to recruit at, Oxford and Cambridge. Now we recruit at schools that have far more minorities and breadth of talent, et cetera. So we reach out everywhere. We started with the Business Roundtable to get, to hire. There are, a shocking number, 70 million ex-felons in the United States. Mm-hmm. And a lot of those folks, we met with them. One of our guys made me go, can't get a car, can't get housing. A lot of them are married. They don't want to go back. They need help. They need skills. And so what do you do? So we got rid of, check the box. And these are not, hardened, violent criminals. But we've hired something like 4,000 or 5,000 ex-felons. A lot of them are misdemeanors, by the way. But it just shows you there's a lot of talent out there.
But you're not a nonprofit. You could hire the best. So what takes you to these new talent pools?
Yeah, I don't think necessarily because you go to an Ivy League school or have great grades, it means you're going to be a great worker, a great person or something like that. If you look at skills of people, it is amazing how skilled people are in something, but it didn't show up in their resume. And of course, if someone overcame unbelievable hardships in life, would you incorporate that in whether you'd hire them? I would, so I would look at all those things.
One of the things you've been pushing for is to hire more people just straight out of high school. What's driving that?
I think 30% of Americans go to college. 70% don't. If you want to help society and help yourselves, get these kids in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade with skills that get them a good job. And what you really want to get, the schools have to now change their education a little bit. Cyber, data, program management, financial management, stuff you don't traditionally teach in high school that we should be teaching there so these kids graduate making jobs $45,000, $55,000, $65,000. It's great for society. It's great for lower income. It's great for the companies. And I think, most companies want to do it. It's just we haven't been doing that in this country.
How do you think about the extra training that's required? I think a lot of leaders have looked at college and said, well, these are almost like finishing schools for employees. They're going to come in, they're going to know how to work within an office. They can work with each other. They're going to see people like them, so they're going to be more comfortable. When you're talking about bringing people in Detroit and Baltimore out of high school, I assume there's a level of training you have to actually do in the office to make sure that they are operating in the way you want them to operate at JP Morgan level. So
you're making a very good point here. The first thing is they're not used to walking in a building like this. And they don't necessarily know the social ethic and the social culture and shaking hands and thank you notes and stuff like that. So there is this kind of education, to get these kids more comfortable just coming to work here. It works. So we've got to make these kids more comfortable. And I think one of the things that works there is apprenticeships, internships, and then a little bit of training. Again, which they can teach in high school too. They make people more comfortable. So we've had a lot of the CEOs now have gone to speak to some of these community colleges for that very reason.
The reality is, talent is everywhere, but opportunities aren't. For years, employers focused on work history and degrees when selecting candidates, but only about 37% of Americans hold a bachelor's degree, excluding a significant portion of our potential workforce, particularly among minority groups. And employers like JP Morgan are trying to address this. According to LinkedIn data, 73% of recruiters now prioritize skills over degrees. That expands talent pools by 19 times in the US. But with technologies like AI, the skills employers need can quickly change. Will you talk a little bit about how AI is changing how you think about talent too? Is your workforce going to grow?
Yeah.
Is it going to shrink? Is it just going to change how we do your jobs? How are you thinking about it?
I think it's all of that. And I think people stop talking about it's huge.
Yeah.
And what we do is we've embedded in all of our businesses. We have someone on the management team reporting to the president and me who is responsible for data and analytics, data going hand in hand. Journey to the cloud is part of that, so you have the huge compute power to use AI. And then every business has a mirror organization. We have 400 AI projects. My guess will be 800 in a year, 1,200 after that. It is unbelievable for marketing, risk, fraud. Think of everything we do, and every job you'll have co-pilots. It'll help you do your job better. So huge productivity tool. And so will it eliminate jobs? Yeah, because we already see it answering questions. When people send us emails or call in, it's already handling that. Mm-hmm. So it'll drive down certain types of jobs, improve customer sat. It'll add jobs too. So the net, I don't know. But we're not going to stick our head in the sand. I think the better thing to do is say, hey, if it's going to change something, which can reduce these jobs, remember, like if you're in call centers or other places, you have 20% turnover every year. So you can quickly adjust, retrain, and stuff like that as maybe reduces some jobs and adds others. So we have 2,000 people doing it. Data and analytics and scientists and ML and research and all that. My guess is that number is going to be 5,000 in a couple of years.
And because there's 20% turnover, you're saying that gives you the ability to put in new processes or change?
Put in new processes or plan ahead is better than putting your head in the sand.
Planning ahead and upskilling your workers is vital to a company's bottom line. Companies with strong learning cultures see higher rates of retention, more internal mobility, and a healthier management pipeline compared to those with smaller levels of commitment. These days, the focus is on AI and how quickly the workforce can adapt. A LinkedIn survey found 57% of organizations in the US are providing AI training. To implement this technology at Chase, Jamie has a direct report to lead AI efforts at the company. And more companies are looking to hire similar leads. In fact, the head of AI title has more than tripled in the past 5 years. But skills alone won't enable a company to succeed. Jamie preaches the need to be out among your employees and customers. Listening, learning, and understanding their needs is crucial. The other thing that you tend to do a lot of is you're on the road all the time. So how important is it for you and how important do you think it should be for leaders to get out of the office, to be on the road? What percent of time is the right percent of time?
I think leaders have to get out. Mm-hmm. They have to get out all the time. They have to be curious, ask a million questions. They're learning from competitors. You're learning from clients. I always tell a client, when you complain to us, you're doing us a favor. If we're torturing you, we're probably torturing another 10,000 or 100,000 people. And, I think CEOs, not just any business leader, can't get out. They're too busy. They're making a huge mistake. Mm-hmm. If you don't have an accurate assessment of the real world out there, what's changing, what they're doing, what the ideas are, you will eventually fail. And the companies get very static, very bureaucratic. They get complacent. And I think the opposite of complacency and bureaucracy is kind of curiosity and heart and grit. That you don't take that crap. I remember, I forgot what year it was. Like we started AI here in, I'm going to say 2012, but it was also by the time I sent the top team from consumer on 2 airplanes to China. And they said, why are we going to China? I said, you'll see when you get there. Yeah. And we set up meetings with them at Ping An and WeChat and Tencent and Alibaba. And you can imagine how it opens their eyes. Like they didn't realize what's taking place over there in terms of super apps. And so it changes your own ability, what you can do here. It's amazing how many times I see people, they don't have realistic assessment of what's going on. You see it with countries, mm-hmm. You see it with bad policy, you see it with companies. And I've always thought bureaucracy leads to politics, leads to stasis, leads to death. Jeff Bezos talks about it. I really think that's true. Complacency in politics is the petri dish of death, and the antidote to that is that you're open-minded to everything. always learning, always curious.
I want to talk to you about how you think about your own career path. I mean, you've talked a little bit about this question of how much longer you want to stay in this position. So how are you thinking about it right now, and how are you preparing your leadership team and the company for whatever the transition is?
So first of all, it's not up to me.
Yeah.
And obviously,
Partially up to you.
Well, yeah. I mean, I could tell them I don't want to do it anymore. Or in my view, if I can't give my full effort, I should stop doing it. But we've moved a lot of people around. So you've seen, if you look at the people in our company, direct reports of mine, they've been in all parts of the company, and they're very talented and they're very respected. They're very respected inside the company. They're very respected by the board. And when the analysts ask me this question, I say, why don't you answer it? You know them, and so we've got huge talent. And then that's it. And we're not looking for a particular skill. You've heard me say curiosity, heart, grit, capability. Obviously, to be smart, knowledgeable, how you deal with. I care how you deal with our tellers, our guards, and our receptionists as much as I care how you deal with CEOs. It's those 300,000 people that matter, and so and we have to set up right for everybody. So,
but how do you think about it for yourself? I mean, you could, the board, I'm sure, feels like you're doing a good job, and they probably want to keep you in this position for as long as possible. So it sort of is up to you.
We have a plan. Look, I said last time less than 5 years.
Yeah.
And maybe as chairman for a while after that. So we'll see. The most important thing I'm going to do, my last final full measure of devotion to this company, is getting the right person in that job.
How do you do that? I mean, is that the kind of thing where you make sure someone's right next to you? Do you share more? I mean, for other people who are in a position of thinking about how they turn over a company to someone else, what would you recommend? How do you start positioning the next generation?
We analyzed and gave to the board outside very successful succession plans, unsuccessful succession plans. A lot of my board members have been through it. Ginny Rometty, Alex Gorski, Phoebe Novakovic. They know every person. They know every issue. We talk about it every meeting. Okay? They know the senior people personally. They know their ethics and their character and their culture. That's how you do it. There's no magic formula. Picking the right person is obviously going to be critical. But like I said, the board is quite comfortable. We have several people who can do the job.
Then one last question for you is about career advice. You have given so much career advice over the years. Has it changed at all?
I don't think it's really changed. I think, the work hard is always going to be there. But I always said work smart. So many people are so inefficient. And I just think you can develop that work smart skills. Develop your EQ. A lot of people have plenty of brains, but EQ is, do you trust me? Do I communicate well? When you walk in a room, do people feel good you're there? Do people know you have a heart? I think one difference is be willing to move around a little bit more.
Yeah.
Careers are changing. The world is faster. I saw my friends graduate college and then business school. People would say, I want to do X, but they didn't. How would they really know until you're in the job? Over time, you'll figure out what you love. That is important. And then be willing to move around. Be willing to try different things. Learn how to be a good boss, that people actually trust you. You're helping them do their job. That does not mean you're always pushing them forward. Sometimes they need a kick, but it's kind of all those things. And enjoy it. If you're always complaining about your job, that's a bit of an issue.
Here's what stood out to me. Hiring for the future starts now. Employers have to expand and retain their talent pools to keep up with the needs of an evolving workforce. That's why Chase's community-led approach stands out. In Detroit, Chase reports roughly 30% of their virtual customer service employees have past convictions. About 80% of jobs at JP Morgan, those where past experience is a good enough indicator, don't even require a bachelor's degree. That's two talent pools that were overlooked for decades. Creating economic opportunity isn't just a moral imperative, it offers a strategic advantage. These initiatives lead to more customers and less employee turnover, potentially saving companies millions in rehiring costs. For leaders, the takeaway is clear. Diversify hiring strategies, focus on skills, and shape the future of work. We talk more about Jamie Dimon's initiatives on the This Is Working podcast. Meanwhile, tell me, how have you seen employers change their hiring practices? You can let me know in the comments.